Hey guys, welcome to Brewskis with Banks. Today, my guest is a prolific sound engineer, music producer, worked with everybody in the industry, and also a true rock and roll renegade, Shantanu Hudlikar.
Thank you, Gino. It's great to be here, man.
Thank you for being here.
Lovely.
Okay, so let's get started in the beginning. Like, how did music enter your life? And
Wow. Okay. So, here's something interesting. I came from a background where my mom and dad loved music, right? They were professionals, but they loved their music. And my dad used to, I remember, I have very clear memories of, we used to have this old Grundig record player.
right,
And my dad used to put on a record of maybe Sinatra or Dean Martin or what, and then he would pick up my mom and they would dance and they would dance at home, so
Fuck.
and they would do the foxtrot and
Yeah.
they would do the rumba and they would do the jive and all those kind of things, and so there was always music around and we used to watch my mom and dad dance. It's great. My dad he used to love his alcohol. I guess that's where I got my love for alcohol from.
Right.
And so music was always around. But what really got to me was, I remember very clearly, it was around my seventh birthday, seventh or eighth birthday, 1969, 1970. And my mom went to the only record store in town, which was called Rhythm House.
right.
And she bought an album, which happened to be the first Santana album.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. uh, and she got it not because she knew what the music was all about. She knew it was like rock because she asked the salesperson what kind of music. She said like it's Latin rock and things like that. But the interesting part is it has a picture of a lion, and in that lion was lots more different lions. So she thought that would be a nice thing to give this 7-year-old kid to try and use it as a puzzle. And so he can look at it and try and find out how many lions are there. And, that was soul sacrifice for me. And that's what the first album of Santana is actually what got to me. And I heard that record and I just said, obviously not in these words because at 7 years I didn't know better, but it was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what is this? There's drums, there's bass, there's that really deep groove, sitting down so hard. And on top of that are these congas and bongos and timbales playing in all these different pockets. And I'm saying, and there were no fills by the drummer, but the fill to introduce the guitar solo was always a timbale fill.
Right.
And the timbale plays Jose Chapito Arias from Nicaragua. He called himself the second best percussionist and timbalero in the world, not knowing who the first person, number one was. So I was very fortunate enough to have met all of them almost 40 years later,
Wow.
where I actually worked with the Santana Band during their 1995 Milagro World Tour. So I toured with them around 8 concerts. So it all started when I was 7, and music was always in the house,
Right.
so to say. My brother was deeply into Western classical music. My mom was deeply into Indian classical music, and my dad swung between all of them.
Right.
So we were all exposed because I used to be taken to concerts. My dad was a announcer and a presenter and a newsreader with All India Radio.
Okay.
So he used to present concerts on All India Radio. So there was Ravi Shankar. I remember there was the Duke Ellington band which performed here as well. So he had to present them.
Wow.
So as a kid, I was taken to all these concerts. So it was always around me.
Yeah.
And it was part of my subconscious. But I don't know why, but I never went towards playing an instrument.
Okay.
Now I know why.
Okay.
Because on the day I picked up the guitar, I wanted to be Santana. I didn't want to go through the process of learning how to play.
Right.
I wanted to play the soul sacrifice solo, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I didn't have patience for that. Anyway, so that it was always deep. I listened to music, and then there were friends around. We were all just so engrossed in each other's what we all listened to.
Right.
And then slowly through school era, I met Ehsan and I met Ranjit, who used to live down the road from me. And here's another interesting part. We always used to go down to Pune to my grandparents' place.
Okay.
They used to live in the Deccan Gym area, Prabhat Road. And my grandfather was a great patron of music. And all his friends were people like Bhimsen Joshi,
Okay.
Gangubai Hangal, Hirabai Badodekar. And all these people used to come and perform in my grandfather's home. They all drank.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all liked that drank.
It was
and
a hang.
It was a hang,
Yeah.
and they used to come and play. So I grew up with all this kind of music, and I said, Indian music is not flamboyant enough, but the love for the melody is what got me at that point. And it was always part of my subconscious.
Yeah.
So slowly, evolving, you went through the normal motions of, go through school, you went to college, but the hangout was always surrounded with music. We were introduced to all genres of music, and most of us used to live back in those days. We were all South Bombay boys.
Right.
So, Roger and Derek used to be from the Kolaba area. Ranjit was down the road from me. Ehsan, Nakul, all these guys were in Churchgate. Babu was in Haji Ali, Mahalakshmi, all these. So, Ronnie, all these guys were on the Hosi. All these guys were there. And these were all my seniors.
Right.
And those days, I remember very clearly, every weekend would be a concert at some auditorium or the other.
Birla, Rang
Birla,
Bhavan.
Patkar Hall, Rang Bhavan,
Right.
what's that place? Sophia Bhaba,
Yes.
all these places. So, and we all, including the bands, used to go for each other's concerts.
Right.
So
it's a community.
It was a community. And they were the same suspects at every gig. Same suspects at every gig. But it was great fun.
Right.
And it was a lot simpler in those days.
Yeah.
It was very casual, People got
TV was not a big deal.
There was no big deal. There was nothing. There was no TV.
Right.
There was only Doordarshan,
Doordarshan.
and I don't think any of us were very keen on watching anything on Doordarshan. So it was basically just meeting at friends' places. The seniors got high.
Yeah.
We watched them get high. Later on, we became the seniors,
Yeah.
and then we got high.
Yeah. Right.
It was that. So that was the progression, but it was always around music.
Right.
And
That was serious. The love for music.
The love for music was very serious, and they were all musicians. People like me were also there. We were non-musicians. We were like, best thing to do, be a roadie.
Yeah.
Right? So be a roadie, help someone tune his guitar. Okay, let's do sound. Okay, let's figure out. We get a basic idea. We've heard so many records. And most of those days, most of the bands did covers.
Right.
Yeah? So we all knew the original. So we all knew what the original sounded like.
Uh-huh.
So, so let's try and get it sounding as close to the records we were listening to. So it was great. So, that was the thing. So it was all a hobby for me at that point. Later on, it got serious, and it got serious only much later, where I started doing my doctorate in biochemistry and genetics, and it was going through a rough phase. And the only thing that kept my sanity and kept me grounded was the music and being with the music. And my good friends, Ehsan and Kalyan, they were instrumental in actually me becoming a sound engineer.
Okay.
And especially these two guys. There was, of course, Nakul. So I used to I was moved between Bombay and Pune at that point. And whenever I used to come back to Bombay, I used to go and meet these guys in the studio. Come. You're in town, come to the studio. Which studio are you? You're in Music Room, or you're in 4D, or a Digital Domain, or wherever. And I used to land up, and Ehsan and Kalyan one day told me, I said, listen, man, you got all your doctorate and all this kind of stuff. You're so into music. Why don't you try something like this out? And the great thing is, if you find that it doesn't work out, you always have your degrees to fall back on. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I was in Pune and I told my mom and dad, it's like, okay, I'm leaving for Bombay tomorrow because I has to come down to Bombay for a lot of my research work.
Okay.
So they said, oh, where are you going? You're going to BRC? He said, no. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, no, I'm going to become a sound engineer. What? He said, after all, putting in all these years, you spending whatever money you spent on your education and things like that, and do you want to just give it all up? Just do what? Watch view meters or needles go up and down? What's the deal? I said, listen, let me just do it. They never forced me into doing academics or anything. It was just something that I wanted. So they backed me with everything that I wanted to do.
Great.
He said, listen, your call, you live by it or you fall by it. All right? You fall, it's your fall.
Yeah.
All right? So, and I knew that. I went by and the music room, the studio, which was run by Soli Dastur, who was one of the founding members of Waterfront, one of probably India's finest fusion bands at that point of time. There was Soli, there was Roger, there was Derek, and their first drummer was Trilok, and their second drummer was Ranjit.
There you go.
And it's like, man, that's like some serious shit happening over there.
Yeah.
And so the Soli was running the studio, and he knew me from before. And sure enough, and Nakul was the chief engineer, and sure enough, I started off my career as Nakul's assistant.
Okay.
And that was 1989 or 1990.
Yeah. Around
that time. And, well, I'm still here as a sound engineer in 2025. So, long story short, those are my beginnings till now.
So the live sound thing was just like a fun thing with the bands?
Well,
that was before Music Room, right?
No.
Okay.
So Rock Machine, their second album was to be recorded, and I was the engineer. And I said, yeah, what the hell, So we recorded the album, and it sounded great. And for that time at least, and everyone was happy. And that time, Rock Machine, Kaizad Baba was doing sound for the band when they used to do all their gigs.
Yeah.
And he's was not really keen on carrying on that much. So these boys asked me, say, listen, studio sound, live sound, would you like to do it? Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, sure, I'll do it, man.
Yeah.
And we'll wing it. Let's see what happens. You got your ears, and you trust your ears, and the technology is the same. So it's not that much different, and you use your ears to make it sound good.
Yeah.
And so that was 1991 is when I started doing a live sound.
So this
Rock
is obviously before digital gear.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how different? I mean, the analog boards were kind of similar.
Analog
live
console,
and studio.
It's just that it was different configurations because your what you need for a front of house mix was quite different from what you would use in the studio. So you needed a lot more to send monitors and stuff like that, and your EQs were pretty much the same.
Right.
Your preamps were not that awesome as you would have in the studio sound. But those days the main studio gear, consoles were like SSL, Neve. AMEC, API, Harrison, and stuff like that. And none of those guys were doing live sound.
Okay.
Yeah, none of them were into sound reinforcement. So the sound reinforcement those days was Yamaha, was Allen and Heath.
So was the gain not as strong live?
No.
It was okay.
It was exactly the same. It's just like different preamps. to what we were used to.
Uh-huh.
It's not that they were bad preamps.
Okay.
They were good preamps. So, we worked with the Soundcraft. Soundcraft was there, Allen and Heath, Midas,
Yes.
companies like that. And all those companies today have digital consoles.
Yeah.
And they're still existing. I stopped doing live sound after about 15 years, just as digital was coming in, not because of digital, but because I got fried.
Yeah.
Because I used to do Mondays to Fridays in the studio and Saturdays, Sundays out on a gig. And 10, 15 years of doing just that,
Yeah.
just got to me.
Yeah.
And the kind of music also, I dare say, that started happening for live sound was not really to my taste or
Right.
liking. So I used to do live sound for Rock Machine, Pentagram, Colonial Cousins. I've done with Louis as
Yeah.
well. And I've done with Zakir Bhai.
Yeah.
So I've done. I used to do the jazz festivals.
Jazz Yatra.
Jazz festivals in Europe.
Oh, right.
So I used to do the North Sea Jazz. I used to go to Montreux. I used to go to the Capitol Jazz. So I did all of that. And it was great. I dare say that I stopped really doing live sound in India because at that point, live sound was just about going to start developing. And you wanted certain gear, and that gear was just not available.
Mm-hmm.
So that was frustrating. And
There was a
The
huge
music.
there was a huge gap between, because you were doing the festivals in Europe.
yeah.
And,
And
coming back
coming
here.
back over here. So the only people who you could work with to get what you wanted was with Roger Drago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was only one Roger Drago.
Yeah. And he used to do Jazz Yatra, Independence Rock.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what happens when I need to travel the country, So like it was still very, very nascent in Bangalore and Chennai. It was like quite rudimentary and it was frustrating. But that was not really, we'll deal with that. The problem was the bands that started working started breaking up. And the emergence of Bollywood. That was not the kind of music I wanted to do live concerts. I that was not really the kind of music. So that's, in a way, I'm happy that, because I also transitioned from doing indie and jingles and things like that in the studio work. I also wanted to explore a larger canvas, which was, again, Bollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Bollywood at that time gave me all the kind of gear that I wanted. They had all the SSLs, the Neves, the Neumanns, the Telefunkens, all this great gear, the Studer 24-track machines and all that kind of stuff, plus the latest in digital over the transitional phase. I said, that was great, just let me get into that canvas.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do the same music when I went out live.
I can understand that
Yeah.
because there's the art of recording, right?
That's
So
right.
it doesn't matter what you're capturing,
Yeah.
but the way you're going to capture.
Where you're going to capture, there was an excitement to it. And, Gino, I've got into a lot of trouble for saying these things, but so I don't mind saying it again. It's
Yeah.
like, the caliber of a lot of the musicians who are playing in the film industry was just pathetic. You're just no way up to par. And, I didn't like the arrangements. I could easily work with the Colonial Cousins, who I did with, because there was a great fusion that they had, But the rest of the stuff at that time, Shankar Ehsaan Loy had not yet started doing, they started doing live, their film stuff much later on, And by the time they got onto the scene of performing live, I had already moved out.
Yeah.
I had already moved out. So, but, I miss sometimes doing the live sound gig, and I do an on-off gig.
Yeah.
I do, and Dwayne will suddenly call me up. It's like, listen,
Right.
Baba, I'm not free. I have something to attend. Can you do this? Fill in for me? Sure, I'll fill in for you.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'd go out of my way to try and get right now.
Right.
Shankar Ehsaan Loy have called me, and Vishal Shekhar have said, would you do it? Nah,
Yeah.
not really interested.
Right. So Music Room, did you go directly from Music Room, the jingle stuff, to Empire for film?
No. So I was in music room, and then from music room, uh, I went indie. I went independent.
Okay.
So I didn't want to be attached to any other
So you were going
studio.
to different studios.
So I would work in different studios, which I thought was great because it trained me to be able to work in different monitoring environments. Otherwise you get just used to one particular sound, and then when you're put into a different situation, you don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
So that really trained me to be adaptable, which is why today people ask me, Shantanu, what's your favorite set of monitors? I said, from something that gives me sound. So I'll work with anything.
Right.
Sure, I have a preference on my personal? Yes, I do, but that doesn't mean, if this is not there, I can't work. It's not that kind of thing. I'm not dependent on my gear.
Yeah.
I am dependent as to this memory bank that is there inside, because I always relate sound to some kind of reference or to color, and so what kind of color would you try and bring in a kick drum? And I'll remember one of my mentors, the great Al Schmidt,
Yeah.
telling me, is like, Shantanu, what you need to do is, go into the live room, hear what the band is playing and what's happening, and come back into the control room and make it sound better. And that to me was really profound, because how can you have something which is already sounding great to make it sound better than what? How can I make Vinnie Colaiuta sound better than Vinnie Colaiuta?
Yeah.
That got me thinking. And those words still stay with me, because every recording that I do, or every mix that I do, that's what comes into my mind. It's like, how can this be better?
That makes sense. I remember all the sessions we've done together.
Yeah.
Is like, you're always in the room.
Yeah.
And you say play.
Yeah.
And then you're walking around, hearing all the instruments, and then you're taking that. Okay, so it makes sense. You take it in, and then you're like, okay, now how do
I,
Yeah.
so, and, the great thing about what Al's remark to me was, he says, once you achieve that,
Yeah.
that's your client for life. Because when that person or that band or that orchestra comes back into the control room and goes around and says, was that me?
Yeah.
It sounds really good. And it's like, yeah, that really is.
Yeah.
And that guy's going to say, like, okay, I'm going to work with Shantanu or the rest of my life. I can't work with. So that's a client.
Yeah.
So it's good commerce too,
Yes.
But it's not commerce for the just sake of commerce. That's where you bring in your art from. You get put on your thinking cap all the time, and you're constantly monitoring the take, and you're constantly tinkering around as to say, because you're only as good as your last job, right?
Yeah.
So how can I be better for the next one? And I'm here 35 years in my profession this year, 2025, and hopefully some more.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So you were freelancing, doing the studio thing. You said
Yeah.
5 days a week studio, 2 days live.
That's right.
So when did Empire happen where you got locked in there?
So this is during my independent days, where I was independent, and hustling for work,
Okay.
waiting for that phone to ring, not knowing, because now you got used to a certain lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And you got to pay rent. And you got to work, because when you're on a studio, you're on a salary plus a commission.
Right.
You're okay. You're there working. You're safe.
Yeah.
You're safe. So you can take on this much, Now you're saying, I worked only 7 days this month, and I have to pay my rent.
Yeah.
I couldn't take that stress anymore. So I said, let me just see how I can change things around. I definitely knew I didn't want to get back into advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I I at that point of time, I thought I had already seen the golden years of advertising, and it was on the wane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a call from Mushtaq, who was Nadiadwala, who was they were the owners of Empire Studios, and they said, "Listen, we had heard about you. Would you like to come and meet?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went and met him, and I had great recommendations from people like Ranjit and things like that. So, not that they needed to do anything, they just called me. It's like, "Listen, we're planning on setting up studios. Would you like be interested?" I said, "Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's take it on." So there I was in Empire Studios. On day one, boom, I was with Babludar recording this 40-piece orchestra for some film or the other. And
And that was when the room was huge,
that's
right?
a huge room.
Yeah.
And I said, like, whoa, okay, I've never done this before. Let me just. And I didn't have any assistants who could guide me. Because at that time, the assistants, most of them were, I hate to say, peon types.
Okay.
They've been studio hands for God knows. ये उधर ये वो mic लगाओ. कौन सा mic? अरे वो जैसा काला वाला लगता है ना वो kind
Right,
वो
right,
mic
right.
लगा लो. That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's like I had a basic knowledge. It's like, okay, let me just figure this out. And then I saw, this orchestra sitting over here, and it just bothered me where there's like 40 people, of violins, viola, cello, bass,
Yeah.
right? And I saw them all sitting in a straight line. Because the studio hands had already said, it's like, kal recording hai, kal recording kitne log aa rahe? 40 log aa rahe. So some 4 rows of 10 people or whatever, just one after the other. I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. Anyway, let me not upset the apple cart. So I set up microphones accordingly, violins, violas, this, that, and the other. I had a great selection of microphones. I did a lot of research. It's like, what's great? I used to call Al actually or email Al and say, like, listen, man, I'm doing this for the first time. What he says, if you have these mics, these are the kind of mics that will work for you.
Yeah.
All right, figure it out. Okay, and then send it to me. Let
Yeah.
me see. Whatever. So great, super. So I did it, and the orchestra was very happy. Those days, you must have known those long hair. And shit like. So they were not sure as to how, how they couldn't really figure me out.
Right.
What is this cat about? It's like, is he from our world? Is he not from our world? He seems to know what he's doing, but I don't know. Will he get that filmy sound?
Yeah.
I don't know what a filmy sound is like. I know sound.
Yes.
Right? So I got a sound and they were all quite happy. But I was like, to me, there was no dimension. There was no depth. There was no width or anything of that sort. So the next day, I did something radical. And I will claim, it may not go down in record books, but I will claim that I'm the first person in the industry to actually get our orchestras to sit in a studio in a Western classical format and combination. As in, hard left is your first violins,
Yeah.
move into your second violins, viola, cello, bass, woodwinds, brass, French horns, all those kind of
How
things.
they would do it in a performance.
How they would do it in a Western classical recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. How orchestras should actually be, with your conductor right in the center. I brought in the concept of using a Decca tree, which is a microphone technique of just using 3 microphones and things like that. But then I expanded it by using outriggers and things like that to get a wider spectrum. And then we recorded. And that was the defining moment of me in the film industry, where everyone turned around and said, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
We've never heard the Bombay Film Orchestra, the string section, sound this good. And I was thrilled.
Yeah.
I was excited. I fired off an email to Al and said, like, listen, man, thank you for changing my life. Because, everything that I do today is I take Al's name before I work, because he means that much to me.
Right.
Because his was a defining sound. He too, has gone through the eras. He worked
Yes.
from the Frank Sinatras all the way up to Toto.
Yeah.
And Jefferson Starship in
Yeah.
between, and they went through it all. And his mentor boss, Tom Dowd, he did the Lynyrd Skynyrd albums and Aretha Franklin and the Allman Brothers.
serious
And-
legacy.
yeah, serious legacy. And that's the music that I love.
Yeah.
Now, how do I bring that sound into our film industry?
Right.
So that was my goal. I think I did it.
Yeah.
I think I did it. I don't know. People felt that I was a little too modern or Western for the sound, and I don't care.
But that's evolution, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, a lot of people are scared. Like today, people are scared of AI.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not. Because I believe AI is something to be feared by the people who are not so good. Because you use AI. Well, I've been using. We've embraced AI long time ago.
Right.
What is auto tune and
Yeah.
all that? It's AI. In a different way. So again, AI is all around machine learning, right? And inputs in the end to AI have to come from humans, right? So that's how AI learns
Yeah.
what to give you. But you can't get AI to create something that no one's thought of,
Yes.
which only a human mind can do.
Yeah.
So that human mind is always going to be on top of the game. And that is what, you and me,
Yeah.
your dad, Ranjit, all of us strive to do, What is different? How can we keep evolving?
Yeah.
Which is why AI is a fantastic tool. For me, AI works brilliantly because it takes care of my mundane tasks.
Yeah.
I get a 500 track session. I don't want to sit down and go through each one and find, because it's named audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, audio 4. I said, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Let AI name it for me. Let it call it bass drum kiss later, and let it just set up. So I use those tools, and my first AI was my assistant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell him, hey man, line up the session for me, Abhishek or someone like
Abhishek,
that. Just line it up for me. That was AI.
Yeah.
So I think it's fantastic. So my transition from jingles to film to today, it's not that I've retired.
Yeah.
I'm still doing stuff, but not on an everyday basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do a lot of more indie work now.
Yeah. You're back to the kind of freelancing.
Back to the
space, no? Yeah.
freelancing, consultancy, help out. I don't need to stay there for the whole session. I guide people. And plus, my most rewarding thing, which I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, is teaching.
Yeah.
So that for me is extremely rewarding. And then seeing a lot of my students graduate and, doing the work that they do, I feel that, there has to be give back.
Yes.
And this is my way of giving back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So Empire, the orchestra thing, that was a big revelation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Was Abhishek at that time? Was
Well,
with
he
you
was
at-
with me in Empire.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at that time was he there? Or he came a little later.
He came a little later.
Right.
He came a little later. He came, I think, in the last 1
Yeah.
year that I was there at Empire.
Yeah.
And because of all that work that we did, Adi Chopra, the work that I did for YRF at Empire is when he saw something in me and then asked me to come and join
Yeah.
YRF Studios, which then I set up and
Yes.
and I was there for about 15, 17 years.
So I think when YRF was built, you think it was one of the most modern, well-equipped studios in the country?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, we were involved right from the beginning. And the person who actually started conceptualized what gear would go in was one of my mentors also, Daman Sood.
Yeah.
A wonderful. I've learned a lot from him.
Western Outdoor?
Western Outdoor. And, one of the greatest engineers with, microphone techniques and the kind of microphones that Western Outdoor used to have. My God.
Yeah.
At that point of time, is unheard of, So we had all these things, and then I came in, and he was so happy to see me that I had been brought in over there, and he says, "Okay, is there at least someone here to carry on the legacy of analog recording?"
Yeah.
So I love microphones, and I love preamps
Yeah.
and microphone techniques, and I go deep.
Yeah.
Even with guitar players, what are your amp settings, whether you use a solid state amp, how much drive. A lot of people, even guitar players, they don't know the difference between gain and volume. How much to push the amp, how much to drive the tubes,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. Learning about saturation. These are all great things which I loved. And I was not a player.
Yeah.
I was not a player because I said, like, okay, what kind of sound would sound great for this kind of song? I think let's try and get a Steve Lukather kind of sound. And I would know the Steve Lukather sound because I've listened to so many records. Or like, okay, this one we're going to, bass needs to sound like Anthony Jackson. May his soul rest in peace.
Yes.
So I had so much of listening. And this all goes back to my days hanging out with the boys.
Yep.
Where we used to just sit down and spin records, whole night long. And so we knew every single credit on every single album.
Yeah.
Who played what,
Yeah.
how did they play. And then I don't know if you recall, in the old days, they used to actually tell you in the credits as to what guitars
Of
were
course,
used, what
of course.
amps were used, what drum kit did
Yeah.
Cozy Powell use when
Yeah.
he was playing Rainbow Live and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we had all this knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
And we used to read it, we used to just suck it up.
Yeah.
So all that stayed with us right till the very end.
Yeah.
So even when we were working with drummers, what's the snare you're using? How can we change the tuning? How do you do your tuning?
Yeah.
So you've taught me so much. Ranjit has taught me so much. I've learned so much from you guys as well. It's
a perspective thing, right?
No, it's symbiotic, man. It's symbiotic. I learn from you. I learn from Jai. I learn from Ranjit. All you guys, brilliant. How much I've learned from Louis. And I'm not even a fucking player, man.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, boom, that I think we know. Gino has a particular feel. I think he's right for this song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know Gino can come in with this kind of kit. What do you
Yeah.
bring? I remember we used to have so much of pre-production talk,
Yeah.
as to what kit should we use?
Yeah.
How should we
How many
tune up?
snares do we
How many
bring?
snares? All those
Yeah.
kind of things. So for me, that was a natural progression to me co-producing.
Yeah.
So along
Right.
with the engineer, and then slowly I started shifting the actual engineering responsibilities, tape op, to Abhishek.
Yeah.
I said, okay, go set it up.
Yeah.
Let it sound like this.
Yeah.
So that was my way of, just moving, because it can get boring sometimes, just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And let's be also very honest. Everyone cannot bring in a Gino Banks or a Ranjit Barod to play drums on every session of that. I would love it if you guys would, because that would be actually boring in the sense there would be no work for me to do. Because honestly speaking, you guys, I just set up mics and it just works.
It's easy. I know.
It's easy,
We take more time for load in and load
That's
out
right.
than
That's
recording.
right. Suddenly it's like sound check, kick drum moves just this bit,
Yeah.
boom, 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 half an hour sound check, done,
Yeah.
ready to roll.
Yeah.
And that's what I was great working. I was so fortunate to have worked with cats like yourself.
Yeah.
Even working with Zubin,
Yeah.
even though he's a synth player, the kind of way he sets up his synths
Sound production.
and
yeah.
sound production and everything. There's so much to learn from.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn from. It's just the way Sanjay plays guitar
Yeah.
is so different from the way Ehsan plays guitar. So, you get to see all these sides. It's like, okay, this is the reason is because of this technique.
Yeah.
And then recording with Zakir Bhai, my
Yeah.
God, it's like, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's like, I don't want to record. I just want to sit down and listen.
Yeah.
But that's what I keep telling a lot of my students, which is the biggest asset an engineer has is to be a good listener.
Yes.
Because that's all that we do. In the end, we listen. We listen to sound and we listen to music, see how perspectives are, see how they work with each other. And then hopefully mixing is just an easy job.
Yeah.
It's the recording which is actually the tough job.
Yeah.
Mixing is easy because if it's recorded well, mixing is
Yeah.
boom, just finished in a hurry.
Yeah. we used to do sessions without even the composer even being there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I recall. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, Shantanu, you just who's coming, Gino? Ah, no, you'll just record.
Yeah. We used to do like 2-3 passes and it was like
Done.
done.
They used to come and listen. Yeah, fine. It's like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should have, because I remember how in the old days, Louis and Ranjit or Ehsan moved from studio A to studio B to
Right.
studio C. And we learned how to work quick, and we learned how to do it well.
Yeah. And deliver the right thing.
Absolutely.
Not like trying things
No,
that
no,
are
no.
not unnecessary.
Not so keeping the producer in mind, because that guy is spending big bucks, and we're not here to waste anyone's money.
Yeah.
Man, I hate that attitude. I think someone else is paying for it. What the fuck,
Yeah.
Let's just take your time.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's not okay.
Yeah. Right. And you recorded Herbie Hancock too at Yashraj, right?
That's right. That's right.
How was that session?
Oh my God, it's like a blessing.
Did you see him or work with him at any of the European festivals?
I have seen him at many of the European festivals. I had obviously seen him here perform at Rang Bhavan twice. But him walking into the studio, like, I was fucking nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the setup? Who all were recording?
So there was Herbie, of course, being produced by none other than the great Larry Klein,
Right.
bass player. Yeah. So he was the producer. So he's the person who actually got in touch with me.
Okay.
And their management, and they were coming here to play at the USIS, right?
Okay. Oh, was it the NCP at the time?
No, I think they were doing
Okay.
that some exclusive gig at the USIS or
Okay.
something of that sort, and there was Dee Bridgewater,
Terry Lynn?
Terry Lynn Carrington,
James Genus was there?
James Genus was there.
Okay.
So they all were there, but he came to do 2 songs, but this was without James Genus
Okay.
or without Terry Lynn Carrington.
Okay.
He wanted to do this with an Indian rhythm section.
Right.
So we had the late great Bhavani Shankar, who was playing Pakhavaj. Zakir Bhai couldn't make the date because he felt unwell.
Okay.
Okay. There was Anushka Shankar. I think there was Satyajit.
Satyajit Talwalkar.
Satyajit Talwalkar was there playing tabla.
Was Sridhar there?
Sridhar was also there.
Yeah,
Sridhar was also there playing mridangam. And it was actually some poetry that Larry Klein had written, and he wanted that put into words. So we got in Chitra from the south, Chitra Subramaniam, to come and sing the song.
Okay.
And then suddenly at 7:00 in the evening, I open the door and Shaka Khan walks in. And I said, "Oh yeah, this is bad. I don't know. Is this real? Is this real?" And it was surreal, and it turned out to be a duet between Shaka Khan and Chitra for that particular song. It was a crazy section, and then Herbie came in and played the solo, but he redid the solo because he couldn't get a Fazioli in India to play. We could only get a Steinway.
Yeah.
So we had a Steinway in, but he was quite insistent that it should be a Fazioli on the album. So they went back and redubbed the
Far out though. That's like
Yeah.
not like I don't think it was bad. The
Not
Steinway,
at all.
right?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, on one of the songs on the album, he got Herbie got a Grammy for the best improv solo. The album is called the Imagine Project.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it was the
It is the Imagine
right,
Project.
Right.
So, and that's when they played us the multi tracks of the Imagine with, and I couldn't believe it that I could solo the tracks and I could hear Jeff Beck's guitar solo over there, and I heard Seal. I could hear solo of Seal singing and Pink and India Ari. And they played us the song of this. I said, like, man, and they had not yet dubbed the South African section.
Okay.
So they dubbed only the Western stuff.
Right.
In the UK in London.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was at Abbey Road. I'm not too sure.
Uh-huh.
So, but meeting him is like, it was It was so crazy. He finished playing his solo.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And there's Larry right next to me, and Larry's just tapped me on the shoulder and said like, "Sounds great." So I said, "Good, okay." Test one passed.
Yeah.
And he finished, and Larry told us, "Oh, that's great, Herbie." So Herbie walks back in, and he stands behind me, and the solo gets over, and he puts his hand from behind. He puts his hand on my shoulders and say, "How'd you like it?" Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
man. You know,
It's okay.
I think you could do
It's
a couple
okay.
more.
Right.
I just looked at him and smiled. I didn't have any words. And it's just gorgeous, and just meeting him and talking to him. He's a devout Buddhist,
Right.
and he's a very, very spiritual man, and he's just so gentle and so calming. His presence. He and his wife, they just make you feel at ease. They walk and because they know that they're big people,
Yeah.
and it could unnerve somebody who's there for the first time.
Yeah.
And him not knowing really what he was walking into in the studio. When he walked into the studio, he looked around and said like, "Wow, I never thought I'd get this here in Bombay."
Yeah.
And then he met me, and I was introduced to him. He went around the rooms and things like that. And he was just so calming. And then, we're sitting down and having lunch together.
Yeah.
And I asked him a question because he was part of the Herbie Hancock School and was a Thelonious
Yeah.
Monk.
Thelonious Monk Institute. Yeah.
Thelonious Monk Institute. And they have to go judging and things like that. So I asked him, it's like, you've probably listened to countless piano players. All of them couldn't be that good. What's your take on that? He said, "Shantanu, I don't hear bad things."
Hey.
And I said, "Man," he says, "I only go back with the good stuff. So I don't remember bad things." So I'm saying like, I want to reach that spot. I want to reach that because that is such a cool way to actually look at life.
Yeah.
It's not just about music,
Yeah.
where you're so chilled out, you're so secure in your own self and your own abilities and your own karma,
Yeah.
that you feel that, hey, there's nothing bad. It's like whatever is there is something that needs to be embraced,
Yeah.
and it's what you take out of it. It's what you take out
That's
of it. And
fantastic.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then of course that was one of the softer, more introspective moments, but the rest of it was he could be you and me, man.
Yeah.
It could be you and me,
Just hanging.
just hanging, talking.
Yeah.
Wants to know about you, wants to know about your family, wants to know, how what surprised him a lot, and I know it does to many other, stalwarts
Yeah.
from out of India, is how come you fuckers here in India know so much about our stuff?
Right.
They're shocked.
Yes.
They're shocked. Like,
That's true.
do you even know who a Steve Smith is? How do you know all of this?
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we just do because it was not available to us freely. So we went and searched for it.
Yeah.
For y'all, it's just there.
Right.
So we had to fight for it
And
because
we grabbed every detail.
we grabbed every detail. We went to every yatra.
Yeah.
Every rock band that performed here in Bombay,
Yeah.
we were there. We sought after them. When the first time the police came,
Yeah.
I think it was 1983.
83. Yeah.
And who had heard of them over here? No one had heard of them over there. But we knew the police were coming. And we went. There were only 2 albums out by that time. Regarde de
okay.
Blanc and the next one, I forget what it was called. Outlanders d'Amour, I think. And we went in search of these albums and heard them. So when he came out and sang, we knew the songs.
Yes.
So, and they actually, this is a really funny story. They were hanging around outside Rang Bhavan after sound check. And we were at Xavier's that time.
Okay.
And Benny and myself. And staying Stuart Copeland and Andy Summers. And it's like, hey, Hey. It's like, want to smoke? He said, what kind of smoke? He said, the funny one. Yeah, sure. The funny one. Yeah, sure,
Right,
sure.
right.
So he said, like, okay, come and grab a cup of chai. So we took them to the Xavier's canteen,
Far
and we
out.
were there, you know, kind of high,
Yeah.
and but also in the strip, like, that they were no big band at that time, right?
Right.
They're just like
They
breaking
hadn't
onto the scene,
right,
just
right,
breaking
right.
into the scene and things like that, and. Yeah, that was 1983. The police, and those days, no phone cameras
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
No, and we are not carrying cameras
Yeah,
with
yeah.
us, so there's no way of like it's like, come on, let's just take a photograph. And but do you know the funny story behind the police playing here at
I
Rangbhavan,
know,
right?
I know.
That is crazy. So I was one of the guys who lost my shirt at that concert because it was crazy because you just heard it's like all you people at the back over there, please come up front. So I say, yeah. And behind Rang Bhavan, you remember the place, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Behind the place, right in the back, there's just a cloud of smoke all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was crazy. It was what a great gig.
Yeah,
And that's what actually started off Roger Drago's career, because they left their sound equipment over here with all that fancy
Right.
sound, and that's where Roger's career went like boom north.
So this used to happen a lot those days, right?
There's a
Visiting
lot of guys-
bands. Like I heard the Who left gear.
So the Who never performed over here,
Uh-huh.
but Pete Townsend's high watt amplifier is still around here. It used to belong to Babu Chowdhury.
Right.
Babu Chowdhury
Right.
bought it off some guy in Goa.
Right.
So the original high watt amp and Celestian cabinet was over here. So a lot of the bands
Right,
did that. You know, they
right.
came over here and left some gear behind. It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
you guys keep it, or I'll,
Yeah.
Roger would maybe have bought some stuff and
Right.
said like, okay, discounted throwaway rate and things like that. So that open, and because I remember very clearly that band the Police sounded great.
Yeah.
And then after that came all the Wishbone Ash and the Uriah Heep
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and of course the Deep Purples.
Yeah.
And first time I seen Deep Purple was here in Bombay, and I saw it with Ian Pace, according to me the finest rock drummer
Yeah,
ever.
he's incredible.
He's just as incredible.
And he's still incredible.
He's still incredible, and it's just a unique style of playing,
Yeah.
and I feel extremely underrated. And but so all this music, so this is what Herbie. It shocked him. It's like, how do you guys know? You guys know a Ron Carter.
Yeah.
You guys know a Charlie Parker. You guys know a Branford. How? How is it that you guys know
Yeah.
all of this? Tanya Maria.
Yeah.
And it's just because we were starved.
Yes.
Because in those days, before internet, there was one record store. And those were days of emergency, right? You couldn't get things easily.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, we had our parents and people like that traveling. So we never asked, we asked for only two things. We asked for Levi's jeans and we asked for records.
Yeah.
Please bring us this record.
Yeah.
So, and when that record used to come, we all used to go to that person's place
Yeah.
and listen and spin it all night. And by that time, we had to put 50 paisa coins on the head so that it doesn't skip and all that.
There's so much of
So
listening.
much of listening. They were giss out.
Yeah.
Giss out. It's great fun, man. I wouldn't change a thing.
Right. Because I mean, like you said, no, like for sound engineer listening, but I think anybody in the music industry, listening is the first thing. But
That's it.
intent listening.
Intent listening and deep.
Yeah.
And listen really deep. We knew where a bell of the cymbal would play in the solo that Steve Gadd takes during Aja's outro.
Yeah.
For example, it was that deep.
Yeah.
So, which is what I do to a lot of my students. I said, listen, before we start even talking as to what is compression, what is EQ, what is this, what is that, these are 50 albums.
Okay.
Okay? I want you guys to know each song on those 50 albums at the end of 3 years. Because 3 years is your program.
Yeah.
At the end of 3 years, if I'm still alive, I will be your examiner and we will be doing an unofficial test, which I guarantee you will count more weight than your actual examinations in the big picture, is if you know each of these songs intently.
Yeah.
So my essential listening list was always the same.
Yeah.
It's like, listen to Miles Davis, listen to Diana Krall, listen to Toto, listen to Steely Dan, obviously, listen to some of the records of some people. We used to just pick and choose. So I still have that
Yeah.
playlist.
Yeah.
I still have that playlist. And when in doubt, always go back to that. It's like, that's how it all began. Keep it simple, silly. Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Because what isn't broken, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
It's just that. And today, this is my biggest grouse with a lot of kids today. Unnecessarily just try and make things complicated. This is a route from Bombay to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
You don't have to go via Mahim,
Yeah.
unnecessarily. Because you think it's faster or it's hipper or it's cooler. Take the easy way out. That's there. And the second thing, which is most disturbing, is wanting too much too soon. There has to be some dues to be paid. That concept is gone.
And that experience actually strengthens your whole foundation.
It's all
right?
Gino, you've come to a stage in your life where you say, listen, music is great. Whatever you're doing is great. It's not necessarily music. It could be whatever you're doing, banking or whatever. Grow as a human being.
Yeah.
And that for me is the most important right now. It's like, I don't care. It's like, because if you're a good person, everything else will be good.
Yeah.
You cannot not be good, but focus on just being good, and your skill set can always be taught and learned. Don't try and skip processes.
Yeah.
And I will teach you not to make mistakes that I made.
Right.
I will also teach you to make mistakes, but not to repeat them.
Because you learn from them.
Because you learn from them. But never repeat the same mistake twice, because then you're not learning.
Yeah.
Because then you're not learning. So all these kind of things, just, every year, what do you see yourself, 15 years from now? It's like, sir, we would like to be like you. It's like, thank you very much. That's really complimentary. But to be like me, you'll need to be in this industry for 35 years.
Yeah.
Are you willing to wait that long? That's because they want it so fast. They
Yeah.
want it quick. I don't blame them. But because I'm not asking you to go through the same shit that we went through. There's so much more information available to you right now at the flick of switch.
Yeah.
It's boom. It's right there. I'm not saying, no, you can't do that. You need to go to a library and find out a book and then read it and then figure it out from there. No. There are shorter ways to learn it. So you will get to where I am faster, but not by cutting corners.
Right.
Not by cutting corners. And because there is only one way.
Yeah.
There is only one way. Once you know that way, then you can break the rules. So you got to know the rules to break them, right?
Right.
It's a cliched statement, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So get your basics right. Once you have your basics right, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You can do what you want.
Yeah. Right. So you said you're teaching. Where are you teaching?
I'm
now?
teaching at TSM,
Okay.
TSM in Karjat.
Okay.
I do guest lectures at TAG.
Right.
And I do occasional lectures at Ideas, Sound Ideas.
Yeah.
So, and plus individually, I hold master classes.
Yes.
And say like, okay, 5 people. I don't advertise or, it's like, say, okay, I'm doing a master class. Who's interested? I say, let's get a band together. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's see how we can work things out.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. But the formal teaching is at TSM and at TAG.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're still freelancing for sessions.
I still freelance for sessions. I'm still doing that kind of stuff. I also consult with this company called Sound and Vision here. They're the premier localization media company over here. And so I'm doing a lot of these things. I'm busy. I'm happy.
Great.
And I'm not stressed.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed. It's like, shit, man. It's like I get time to spend with my family, my pets.
Yeah.
And not to be confused with being retired. Because people like me, we don't retire.
Yeah.
We gotta be. We constantly.
It's still the end.
Yeah, we're still there. We're there at gigs. I'm still fucking noisy as hell. I'm still noisy as hell. I'm still doing that kind of stuff. I just
It's all love.
Yeah, it's all love.
Yeah.
It's all having a great time.
Yeah.
And secure in myself.
Yes.
That's for me. That's really important.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I mean, Nakul, Kamte, and Vijay Benegil,
Yeah.
and all you guys kind of grew up together,
We all
right?
grew up together, and we're still together as friends.
Right.
So
Mujib.
yeah, Mujib and me. Here we go. I don't think there's anyone else who has known each other longer than two of us known each other, because we've been together since Standard 4.
Wow.
Sorry, since KG, age 4.
Oh.
We used to go into a school called Breach Candy High School, Breach Candy School, which is the primary section. And then we all went to a school called Palm Beach School, which is at Nepean Road. He was head boy. I was deputy head boy. He went on to do his PhD in physics. I went in to do my PhD in biochemistry. He went on to become a sound engineer. He started off at Rave.
Yeah.
I went to become a sound engineer, but much after he started off at Music Room. And we're still together doing something today. Yeah,
It's
and
wild.
then I started off my career as Knuckles' assistant,
Right.
who was my friend also. And then Benny started off as my assistant
Right.
at Music Room. So it was crazy. And we were in college together. Benny
Right.
and me, we've known each other since 1980, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've...
Wild.
Yeah. So here's another crazy... I don't have any new friends. No. I don't have any new
Right.
friends. Yeah, because I'll tell you mainly why. Too much to explain. How can I say? It's like if someone hears, Shantanu, you remember that night? No. I can't go on to explain as to what happened that night if I remember it at all. So it's much easier for the older friends to continue being friends, because now we know each other just so well.
Right.
And there's no explanations. There's no reasons.
Yeah.
It's all good. No one takes any offense to anything. And like I said earlier, most of us, or probably all of us, the girlfriends became the wives.
Yeah.
And so the kids who have, all of us who have kids, also got to know each other.
Yeah.
So there was nothing to hide, So, it just, getting to make new friends just became a bit of a chore. So like, listen, we put on enough effort on the side. Our old friends are our old friends. Now, see, it's very different with, say, guys like you. We don't need to explain to each other, because you already know shit about us. Even Jai comes around and hangs out. You don't need to explain. Warren. Of course, all of you are much junior to us in terms of age.
But
only.
we've grown up around you.
But we've grown up around each other. We've all known each other's parents, for example. All this kind of thing. So it's been great. So this is the great thing I feel in our artistic communities. I wouldn't just say music, but anything with the arts. Is all the generations knew each other, hung out each other, and continue to do so.
Yes.
Which is just so cool. I remember coming to your drum festival,
Mumbai Drum Day.
and meeting all you guys, and you guys are all the next generation. It's fantastic, and then hanging out with you guys afterwards. It's a great laugh. And just good to see, hey, we are not much different from you when we were your age. But we know what you're going to be when you grow up. I can see you guys where you are in 20 years' time. It's going to be, and it's great. It's fantastic. So, there is no judgment.
Yes.
And there is no one to live standards by someone or something of that sort. And most importantly, I said it earlier, it's like, don't need to explain things. It's just, and it's great. So, and then this is there amongst all of us artistic communities, be it dance, be it music, be it painters, all of them. I don't see that so much in corporate India.
No.
It's extremely competitive. And everyone is trying to vie for some position. But here we are all just trying to be better versions of ourselves. That's it. I don't care whether I'm CEO of the company, but in the other professions, that's a big deal. Well, fine. So you need that world to balance out people like us.
Right. No, and it's like, I mean, especially those days in the 80s and 90s, like all you guys, it was a tighter-knit community, I felt, because it was not so easy to do what everybody was doing. So you really had to have a high level of skill.
Yeah.
And also passion for
That's
this.
right. That's right. Which is why we are not scared of AI. You know, I'm serious about this, and I tell people this is we were so invested in each other. You know, I would be so happy to see, you know, an Ehsan do well, or Knuckle to do well, and vice versa. You know, how they would feel about me. Hey man, Shantanu, we are not shy of complimenting each other. It's like, hey man, that's a great solo that you played.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it, and I go there as a fan. I go there as a fan. I'll go to a Shankar Ehsan Loy gig as a fan. You know, not as a friend.
Yes.
As a fan, because I genuinely like the stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm going there to see it as a gig,
Yeah.
which is great. So, which is why we are all there at each other's gigs.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I love the music, and it's everyone says, "Oh, I'm glad to see you supporting." No, it's not supporting, man. I like the music. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's great.
That was great. Awesome, Shantanu. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
great chat.
My pleasure. Anytime. Lots more stories to tell.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do one session one day and then document that maybe.
Oh,
you
that
know?
would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Would love to do that.
We'll do that.
We'd love to do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gino. God bless. Bye bye.